Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gentlemen of Crypto, episode 247. Wow. And of course, I forgot to put a title on here today, so it's probably just going to say 247 as of now. But today is Thursday, September 13th, and I'm your host, King. Of course, co-host Bitcoin Zay is leaving DC today, so hopefully we get him back here tomorrow safe and sound. You know, they got the Hurricane Florence going all down the coast. What's going on, New Legacy, John Sieber, Crypto Q, Moni Love, Christopher Ladd, Marcellus Love, Malik Howard, Tessa, Kevin Hodges, hello, hello, hello all. All right, for the free Satoshi winner from yesterday, goes out to one who just snuck it in, SJ Smith. SJ Smith said that if, we asked him we could apply blockchain technology to anything else, what would it be? There's a lot of good answers on there, but the one I liked the most from him was the banking financials, or him or her banking financials. How much revenue do these global banking systems make off of fractional reinvesting our savings, credit unions, loans, etc.? Also said all crowdfunding applications should be connected to a public blockchain. Again, that makes a lot of sense too, kind of what China was doing with the charities. Also, he put, this could be used for any country universal, but he used the one African currency tied to their resources, where it can unite the continent with tangible resources backing it, and their crypto will perform all fiat. So again, I really like the banking and the crowdfunding. That's something that could be implemented sooner rather than later. So SJ Smith, thank you for that comment, and we will be sure to send the the free Satoshis out to you by the end of this week. So thank you, thank you, thank you. That is very funny, Tommy. All right, not a lot of news today, but we'll go ahead and jump to a couple stories out there. Of course, the top story today is Morgan Stanley plans Bitcoin trading for clients, reported by Bloomberg. U.S. banking giant Morgan Stanley is planning to offer clients Bitcoin trade swaps, anonymous sources told Bloomberg Thursday, September 13th. Looks like they're going to do this to allow, some exposure to Bitcoin options or Bitcoin exposure options. And they say they would deal in contracts that will give investors synthetic exposure to the performance of Bitcoin. Investors will be able to go long or short using the so-called price return swaps, and Morgan Stanley would charge a spread for each transaction. All right. We kind of already talked about this before. There we go. I was on the wrong cam. We talked about this before with Citibank a few days ago, basically doing the same thing with the DAR something receipts. But again, they even say here, this is a synthetic exposure to the performance of Bitcoin. It's like, why buy and trade the real thing when you can just do it for something fake we create and still get charged a fee for it? It makes no sense. Again, no sense. And of course, if you decide to go that way with Morgan Stanley, then the money you put into them to trade on literally nothing, on just imaginary, speculative things that they invent. I guess they're calling theirs their Bitcoin exposure options. If you give them money to trade on this, to go long or short on this, they're literally going to use that money to buy real Bitcoin and just do their own trading themselves. And if they lose out on it, then hey, sorry, we can't pay you back. We get this bailout from the government. And if they make enough money to pay you back after they take their fees, then they'll give you a little bit of the take. So again, one of those things makes no sense to the person, to people who've actually been in this space, but we definitely understand. We know what they're trying to do. This is for the new users that come into it, the mainstream users. And yeah, Crypto Q said the best. Exchanges already have a spread. This is silly. If you want to go long or short on crypto, I mean, you got BitMEX, Kraken when it decides to work, Poloniex when it decides to work. But, there's a few different ones. Binance, I believe, you can do a couple on them. So, yeah, it makes no sense. But this shows you that the banks are scrambling right now. They understand they can't compete with crypto. They can't compete with Bitcoin and some of these other new tokens that are coming out. So they're just saying, you know what? We're literally going to make imaginary products, kind of like what they did when they were trying to package up housing ratings and credit ratings all in one, and these AAA ratings that actually didn't mean anything because they were lying about it. But they are literally saying we're going to create a new industry out of thin air. We're going to create new products to go with it. All of this is fake and made up based off of an actual market, by the way, that most banks and governments have been saying that doesn't even exist or is not real, or is not backed by anything. So we're going to use the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market that's fake and is not backed by anything. And we're going to create another fake product on top of that. And we're going to tell you to give us your money so we can trade this new fake product. That way you won't have to actually be exposed to the real market. So again, if it sounds confusing, it's for a reason. I'm sure with Morgan Stanley's PR department, though, they can make some sales off this. Kobe Field said BitMEX wicks are awful for automated stop losses, though. You know what? We haven't put it out yet. If you're in our group, you've already seen the BitMEX trading video. I think we have 2 in there. Bitcoin Zay did. I will attempt to put one out today or tomorrow for everyone to check out this weekend. But he does a really thorough breakdown. Jamal J, yep, he's still on the East Coast. The storm delayed him, so he is on the East Coast still. All right. Next up, really good story to see. Blockchain can add $1 trillion to world trade by the year 2028, says World Economic Forum. Honestly, I think that is a long shot as far as 2028. I think we can add $1 trillion to world trade way before that. Of course, you know, I'm going to just skim through the story because they use a lot of that word soup. Distributed ledger technology such as blockchain could generate $1 trillion in new trade over the next 10 years. A joint report from the World Economic Forum claims today. Honestly, it doesn't take a report from them for you to understand how this money can be made. They hit on a good point, which is everyone kind of knows already. But, you know, when you start using blockchain technology or distributed ledger technology, you know, they just don't want to say cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all this good stuff. But when you're using these blockchains, you're basically making businesses more efficient. You're scaling at a faster pace. So they kind of already go into, they talk about, you know, cross-border food imports. Again, you're talking about supply chain management and all that, but you literally just increase efficiency. This is what it says. Trade finance continues to rely on legacy technology with multiple blockchain-based initiatives now dedicated to increasing efficiency. Distributed ledger and other technological innovations promise groundbreaking advances in trade and supply chain finance by reducing costs and ease of use. So that's 2 things. I'm going to add another one. This story only had reducing costs and ease of use. Again, just by reducing the cost and ease of use, you can turn it to a $1 trillion market. But the third thing is you have access to more capital. Again, we talk about everyone having a wallet on their phone and be able to send whatever cryptocurrency they want across the world. Well, before that, it'll be pretty difficult to do business with one of these countries in Africa or I use an example when I speak about Timor-Leste, a small country off the tip of Indonesia I've been to before, which is literally, 3rd, 4th world country. It is way behind. But, you know, if you have people, but by the way, they have the best coffee beans in the world, some of the best. A lot of big companies, I think Starbucks goes, Better Buzz Coffee, get some of their coffee beans from it. So it's a very isolated, remote country, has some great coffee beans. Unless you're already a big company or a big corporation, it is very difficult to get those coffee beans from the local farmers there and to actually pay them and actually, have a business going to and from, which is why it takes bigger companies to do it. On a small side, whenever people go there, they usually buy like literally a kilo of coffee beans, 2 kilos of coffee beans. That's how they sell them. It's popular. You can go to the store at like 9:30, 10 a.m. and the coffee beans are already sold out. But with distributed ledger technology, blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, if you were to partner with them and do a deal with them, you literally can do everything on Google Hangouts as far as meeting with them, and then send payments via cryptocurrency without you even having to go there or get all these third parties like banks and governments involved. So things like that, which will open up the rest of the world, the third world countries out there that may want to trade with first world countries. They may have items that you really want to bring to your country of residence. This will allow it. So between the reducing costs, the ease of use, and then again, I want to add the fact that you can now, more capital in the world is open that wasn't there before. It's open to, the mom and pop types, the retail investors to go out there and make something for entrepreneurs. I think that will that will allow us to see $1 trillion in world trade again before 2028. I wouldn't be surprised we saw in the next 3 to 5 years if the technology continues to prove as it has. So we'll see. Kobe Field said IBM could take over enterprise facing blockchain market. Right. Somebody has to do it. All right, Bitgo receives regulatory approval to custody crypto assets. Very interesting. Crypto security startup Bitgo has received approval in the United States to act as a qualified custodian for digital assets. So yeah, they basically got the green light. We saw Gemini do the Winklevoss twins. Everybody's starting to get these green lights. The company, which has spent most of 2018 attempting to launch a regulated custodian entity, announced that the Bitgo Trust had been approved by the South Dakota Division of Banking on Thursday, meaning it can now offer institutional clients a regulated storage solution for digital assets, said Chief Compliance and Legal Officer Shala Ali. Wow. Well, I'm glad you got the pat on the head by, the nanny state. And no, I think Bitgo would do a good job. It's a security startup. I see them mostly holding custodial accounts for big institutions, maybe bigger banks, exchanges, those types of people who either don't want to invest in their own security measures to hoard all this money, or would rather just see somebody more professional do it. And Bitgo looks like they're ready to answer that call. So I hope all goes well with them. Here's, I guess, their whole team. I trust them because they have a guy in the back with lime green hair. And yeah, if you got a guy on your team with lime green hair, you guys are the real deal. Everybody's t-shirt out, or a lot of people are t-shirt out. A lot of smiling faces, good stuff. But no, I think this is good for the community. Again, for the mom and pop, the retail investor is, you should learn to use your own wallets, whether it's desktop, mobile, code, offline, all the different types of wallets. You should learn about them and use them yourself, because if not, we're going directly back to the banking structure, except you're giving your assets to a security company in hopes that they'll take care of it. But again, for institutions, for banks, for example, right now, for some of these banks that are starting to say, hey, we're going to offer you Bitcoin exposure or cryptocurrency exposure by offering these products, or actually the actual underlying asset, then they will most likely go toward Bitgo. We already know a lot of banks have begun to hack. We've been seeing a lot of institutions getting hacked, and Bitgo's coming out saying, hey, all we do is cryptocurrency security, make sure those assets are managed properly and protected. So if that's what they're doing, again, I can see institutions doing it. Some of these exchanges out there, especially some of the new exchanges out there, who are hoarding maybe a lot of money, not on a grand scale a lot, but if it's a new exchange, you got 10, 20, $30 million starting to come in, liquidity and all that, and you want to store some of that in a safe place, I think a lot of people will go toward Bitgo, at least until we get more security. If not, we'll continue, or excuse me, more security competitors like this. If not, then I think the hacking will continue, because as of now, it has no sign of slowing down. Thanks, Chris Ladd. Yes, hit those likes and share, people. Smash those likes and share. All right, crypto crowdfunding terrorists. Marketplace for jihadist crowdfunding found on the dark web. All right, just jumping straight to the comment section. Somebody hit the nail on the head when it came to this article. Let me see it. A guy or a person, Ha, said, I get reporting on news, but this article is basically an advertisement. So not to, not to downplay the author. I saw them in the comment section. They were actually responding to it too, which is pretty cool. But this article basically goes into detail about, again, it's on the dark web. As bizarre as it sounds, a marketplace for crowdfunding paramilitary mujahideen, those engaged in jihad, has been discovered on the dark web. All right, it's basically like a crowdfunding thing for terrorists on the dark web. Looks like they can pay with Bitcoin and Monero to pay for 4x4 pickup trucks, or 50 caliber bolt action rifles and ammo, snipers, or wind readers for sniping, silencers, and even combat training for aspiring jihadists. All right, it's important to point out this website that's found on the dark web is less than a month old. It is like literally a couple weeks old. So it isn't real yet. It's not up and working, none of that good stuff. But what I will say is, first of all, any websites or anything related to crypto and terrorism, the idea was brought about by our government, or some of these first world governments out there trying to blame terrorists for reasons they want to enforce cryptocurrency because the terrorists are going to use it, even though we know that's not true. It's almost one of those things where I feel like governments, especially our governments, send those feeders to terrorists like, please, can you guys, we keep mentioning you in crypto, can you start using it so we have a reason to come in heavy? because it's just not being done right now. You know, in addition to that, it's where do they get their 4x4 pickup trucks and 50 caliber bolt action rifles right now? All right, they buy it from governments around the world, or if you know, if you're anything like some of the ones in the Middle East, some of the countries we've been to, you literally just grab the 4x4s and the 50 caliber rifles we leave behind, or the Humvees we leave behind, because it's cheaper to leave weapons and materials and all this other stuff. It's cheaper to leave it behind and to ship it back home. So even if the terrorists in the world started to use the dark web and all this other stuff to buy all these different weapons for their destructive practices, it still wouldn't outpace the amount of resources they can get from the United States is leaving things behind, from Russia leaving things behind. So again, this is not really a story. You know, even if it started, again, we know that governments are looking for a reason to try to squash all things crypto. So again, this is only a few weeks old, but I'm sure in another 6 or 7 months, this will be referred to in some type of congressional hearing saying, did you know there was already a site out where you can buy 4x4s and 50 caliber? And technically being true, it's a site out, even though no one's using it. No one's going to ask those type of questions in hearings, and people are just going to listen and pass laws and regulations blindly. So it will be interesting to see how this develops. But remember, we talked about this story when the site was only 2 weeks old and no one was using it, because I'm telling you, we're always looking for someone to blame. There we go. Shinobi1 said, finally catching the live. What is going on? Not too much today. Is a quiet day. So yeah, so that's about it for the free Satoshis today. Let's see. Morgan Stanley and Citibank basically said they're going to open up some type of synthetic Bitcoin trading for his clients. Again, it doesn't really matter because it's not the actual underlying asset, Bitcoin or crypto. But I don't know. Here's my question to you all. If you can make up another fake way to sell, you know, some type of synthesized, I can't even say the word right now. Another way to sell fake Bitcoin or fake trading the way they're doing it, what would you come up with? Again, Citibank came up with the DARS. Morgan Stanley's coming up with Bitcoin exposure options. What would you come up with and how would it work? I don't know. You can come up with anything. But if you were to come up for a way for a bank to sell to his clients, the next thing that's going to come out, go ahead and put that in your public address, and we'll make sure to see those free Satoshis. Other than that, as I stated, it's a short show, not a lot of news. Bitcoin's getting a couple pumps, but not really. We're all still staying in between this $6,500 mark here. So we'll see what happens between today and tomorrow, and then, of course, the weekend, where occasionally there's a sell-off. Till then, folks, have a great day. We will catch you all tomorrow. Cheers.